Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus, Brady, your host, and for this one I am joined by Darragh O'Flynn to run through all of the weekend's action in the Allianz Hurling League Round 2 of 2023. Once again, Darragh, another round full of action. I mean, the first game we're going to talk about had 7 goals between Cork and Galway, a great battle between Kilkenny and Tipperary, a great day for Limerick as well, getting a victory, Dublin beating Antrim, Waterford beating Laois, and Wexford, of course, beating Westmeath in a game where a lot of people thought that they should avenge, obviously, this shock draw that happened in the championship last season. But round 2 is down and in the books now. What did you make of it?
First of all, I'm glad to be on, Seamus. Thanks for having me. It was pretty one-sided, to be honest with you. Like, if you look at the Limerick game, you look at the Tip game, even the Dublin game, and even the Cork-Galway game, it was all first half blitzes, and then kind of the losing team came back into it, but wasn't much now. Even like with the Waterford game, sure did, with Michael Kyle being sent off, it kind of made it competitive because they were expecting a walkover in that game.
Yeah,
and then 100%. It's hard to know.
Yeah, no, we'll start the game now. We'll go through one by one. I'm going to start with the game that I think was the game of the weekend. Without doubt, that is Galway 3-22, Cork 4-24 from Salt Hill in Pearse Stadium. I mean, Galway, I think, looked a little bit better in the first half, but Cork definitely hit their stride coming towards the end of the first half, pulling it back to level it and then go in front through a point from Shane Barrett that made it 110 to 1-9. But it was that burst in the second half where Cork hit 2 really quick fire goals from Sean Toomey and from Conor Lehane. And then when the next goal came from Sean Toomey, that had it pretty much wrapped up. Even though Galway did make a surge, they just left themselves too much ground to cover. But that burst after the restart by Cork, that was hugely impressive, sticking those goals away.
It was impressive, but Jesus, the defending was shocking for some of the goals. Like, it was parting like the Red Sea there, for especially Conor Lehane, so he walked through. But if you look at it though from kind of Pat Ryan perspective, Lehane and Dalton weren't firing in the first half against Limerick, and for I say majority of the game against Limerick in the second half as well. But he kept them on, and sure, Dalton got the goal for Limerick, and then he scored 6 points from play yesterday, and then Lehane 2-4. So I think Lehane's top scored from play. I'm pretty sure now it's him and Jake Morris 2-4 each or something like that. But he's just giving trust into the players that he wants to deliver. Like, and even they were missing Patrick Horgan was supposed to be playing. He went off injured. And then even looking at the back's perspective, you could count Kieran Joyce as a new person experience-wise. He's only second year playing inter-county, but 5 other defenders is their first competitive game for Cork. Like, so it's positive notes for Cork, I'd say.
Oh yeah, without doubt. I mean, to run up 4-24 away in Galway is hugely impressive going forward. But as I was saying to you off air, going forward, it was never really Cork's issue. The always issue question was their physicality and their defending. And as you said, while yes, Cork won with 4-24, they also conceded 3 goals and 22 points.
Sorry, I missed your end of the question there, Seamus, but
no, I'm saying that's literally the end. They also conceded 3-22, like it, as in.
Sorry,
that's not an impressive tally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but no, with the forward line, just say Martin McManus and Kevin Cooney. Well, Martin McManus is very impressive, like big young fella. First game, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not sure they come on the last day, but 1-3 in your debut was very good. Big strong fella, like, and same with Cooney, was just they were finding him hard to handle with the high ball in. And sure, Nyland, he got 11 points, 8 frees, but he's kind of in and out with scoring from play. Like, he probably could do it a bit more from play, if you get me. Kind of, some are saying he's more of a free merchant than anything, and they're kind of trying Conor Whelan out the half-forward line. I don't know, is it working? I'd rather him inside, more full forward, corner forward is your best. And sure, if look at, they probably didn't have. It's hard to know what training load everyone's doing these days, and with lads playing Fitzgibbon, it's hard to know. Like, Brian Concannon only came on again today. Like, I thought he'd start after Wexford the other day. He was just very good when he came on. Sure, he got Yeah, I got another goal again. Like, so I wouldn't be panicking yet about Galway. Like, they know 13 of their 15 for championship. Like, they're just trying to build a squad and try and compete with Limerick.
Exactly that. I mean, you talk about how good Kevin Cooney looked. You talked about how good the Davison McManus looked there. I mean, that's again more strength into Kilkenny. No, sorry, more strength into Galway. You think of the likes of Sean Lennon, more players like the Gavin Lees and such that have broken through over the last year under Shefflin's watch. The panel now that Galway has is extensive. And that was crucial because in the semi-final against Limerick last year, when the game was coming down to the wire, Limerick had those lads to turn to on the bench, the likes of David Reedy, to pull them over the line when Galway didn't quite have the same strength and depth. So that's what the job is for Shefflin in the league, no doubt. And they won't really care too much that they lost this game. They showed serious firepower going forward, a little bit vulnerable at the back, just like Cork were. But made for one hell of an impressive game. Before we leave this game behind, the other point I mentioned about Cork was their physicality. Did you see any signs in this game and in the Limerick game that shows that Cork maybe are improving in terms of being able to physically compete with the top teams?
I wouldn't say physicality. I'd say it's more work rate than anything. Like, it doesn't matter. Nowadays, you need 6 forwards that are going to put pressure. Like, a prime example would be that Colin Bussang for Middleton. Like yesterday, it was a fact he had the poke out, a ball, sorry, and then Bussang chased him. I'd say it was about 15 yards away. Chased him, made Fahy mishit it, and Cork got a point from it. Like, that's what Cork need, I think. There's just too many. So say you'd have only one Harndy example, like, and Luke Mead would do a bit, but like, you didn't have 6 working forwards the last 2 years, so that's why they weren't going to win anything without 6 working forwards this year. And realistically, Cork have 3 weeks off if they get to a league final, because they're going to call spade a spade. They're going to get to a league semi-final for sure, because they're going to beat Westmeath. Call spade a spade, like, and I'd say it'd be a straight shootout in between Limerick and Galway for the other semi-final spot in Group A. If you're looking at it, it depends how Limerick take it, and if Galway's fired up. I'm not sure who's home and away, but whoever's home, I'd say whoever has home advantage would be favourites to get the second semi-final spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's one of those things that who takes the league more seriously as it goes on, because obviously we saw what happened to Waterford, league champions. Sorry to step on a sore one there, but in terms of like, it just wasn't the level that we thought they'd get to. I think personally, I just think they ran out of steam. I think they was too close to league final and the championship kicking off. And Limerick, Kilkenny and Clare all took the league off pretty much, in my opinion. Didn't play anywhere near the level that they could have. And then they smashed it when championship came around. Speaking of Liam Cahill, his trip away to Nolan Park with his new Tipperary side yielded a victory. Tipperary 224, Kilkenny a goal and 21 points. It was Derek Ling's first home game in charge of Kilkenny. And we have to say, Darragh, particularly in the first half, this was the Jason Ford show. Coming back into the side, he looked incredible.
I look fantastic now. I don't know what Liam Cahill's after doing, but it's the same impact he's after having with Waterford. Just hit the ground running. But I suppose he knew most of the players there, so it was like clockwork for most of them. But off the show, it's very impressive from the 2 games they played. Like, they only beat Laois by 4 points, was it last year, and they hammered them there last weekend. And then today, like yesterday against Kilkenny, off the shoulder running, acres of space, like Kilkenny in the first half, they were trying to play more kind of Kilkenny triangle passing game with the stick. Sure, it was going down to lower your feet, or I don't know, if I'm in a forward and I'm running out, I don't want the ball come down to my feet, like, and with a man chasing me, especially at inter-county level, I don't know if he's very hard to beat a man that way. But geez, the goal even got, the pass from Callan was ridiculous. Like, just great to see him back. It's hard to believe he's the last remaining fella from 2008 from the Tip team that bet Kilkenny in Nolan Park. Like, so I'm pretty sure it's the last time Tip won the league as well. Like, so I'd say Cahill, it depends how, as you said already, Seamus, how team prepare for it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cahill be targeting the league to get some silverware back on the Tip panel. Like,
yeah, and it'd definitely be not an easy win. Definitely wouldn't be an easy trophy to win. But I think in terms of, which one will be easier to win, the All-Ireland or the league, definitely the league. Teams are going to take the league off. Limerick have done that over the last couple of years. And, they are the dominant team in hurling right now. So, I mean, maybe take your silverware while you can get it. What I find interesting about this Tipperary side, though, is the new faces, obviously, that were in on the first day. The likes of Gerard O'Donovan, the likes of Connor Stakelum, the likes of Connor Bowe that have come in. But in this game, on top of that, you mentioned Jamie Callanan. Patrick Bonner-Maher at full forward in the first game was an interesting one. Seamus Kennedy at wing forward, Jason Ford, and Michael Breen at full back. Noel McGrath at centre half forward. A lot of guys that are established names are looking good under Cahill and also playing new roles now.
Yeah, well, the Bonner-Maher was playing for Laura last year, full forward, to my knowledge anyway, and he was doing that kind of role, what he was, a bulldozer basically inside the full forward line there last year when they went intermediate. And Kennedy is no stranger to the forward line either. He was playing there all the time for St. Mary's, 9 times out of 10. Actually, I'd say it was only last year, club championship was the first time he wasn't playing there. I'd say he was centre back last year, but even the likes of getting proper train into, not proper practice into Michael Breen full back. Sure, he hasn't played there since minor. I say he's been a midfield forward line for senior inter-county career. Definitely never played in the backs from my knowledge, but so far so good. He's had one or two flaky moments, but I say probably be number 3 at this stage. He hasn't. There's no other candidates, but hopefully even senior candidates like Cahill Barrett, if his injury is serious, let's hope, because the time frame now for the league and championships, you just can't afford getting injured.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully Barrett comes back on top of that. Paddy Cadell, another one that we wish the best to in terms of his injury. Obviously, he went off as well. We're going to give a shout out to the 2 goals. Obviously, Jason Ford, his one in the 27th minute, brilliant finish. And then Jake Morris as well, scooping up a rebound and hitting it into the back of net. Very calm as well, because obviously it was originally saved by the Kilkenny goalkeeper, Aidan Tallis. Came back out. Instead of panicking and just trying to lash the ball into the net, Morris scoops it up, goes around the goalkeeper and puts it into the net. Very, very smart finish. Kilkenny fought back in the second half, though, and you have to give credit to them for that. You think about Mossy Keoghan's goal. Billy Drennan stepped up again, looked very impressive. So even though Kilkenny lost, still some positives there.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be panicking yet about Derek Lynch anyway. Ling even. They had goal chances. Barry Hogan made 3 fantastic saves. They denied Walter Welsh twice, and I don't even know that he made a spectacular diving save for one of them anyway. But Billy Drennan is a very interesting to see how he goes this year. He's after putting on, I say, about 9-10 kgs of muscle since the under-20 count All-Ireland final against Limerick. He's absolutely become a tank. I don't know what he's after doing. And then you still have to add in all the Ballyhale boys like TJ, Adrian Mullen, Owen Cody, examples like that into the forward line. It's just going to add more dimension, but it's trying to play. They'll probably go back to playing how they played somewhat the All-Ireland final last year, because they have the likes of TJ, but it's trying to blend in the new style of play, trying to match Limerick and put off the shoulder running. And it's hard. I wouldn't panic yet. I still see Kilkenny as being a contender anyway.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, they always have that confidence. And even though Brian Cody is gone, Derek Ling will carry on that level of excellence, no doubt, in Kilkenny. We're going to move on to the next game now. Limerick 127, Clare 218 at the Gaelic grounds. This one was one that I did actually back. I backed Limerick to win this game in my preview. And just because I said, look, they looked really, really good in the first half against Cork. And then they took off some big players, the likes of Gerard Hegarty. Obviously, Declan Hannon had to go off with a hand injury. And obviously now we know what happened. Cork came back and won the game with a late score right at the death. And I know that even though it's the league and a lot of people would have said, but Limerick won't worry too much about that one, it would have annoyed them surely. And I looked at this game and thought, I can't see Clare winning this. I'm going to go with Limerick to win it. They did. No slip in the Limerick second half standards. They established a lead early again, and this time saw it out.
Yeah, Jesus, it make you depressed from not being from Limerick, to be honest with you, watching that game. Sure, 16 points again the first half, and they just carried on. They just didn't stop this half. Sure, I didn't even know Adam Minglis. I didn't even think he had that in to play midfield. He was just up and down the field, 2 points as well. And the pass at the end was it O'Dowd from Mullineen, that was a serious goal. And they're just adding more strength to their bow. It's kind of more like he's He's won every All-Ireland with the same 15 since the first time, basically, Kylie, if you take out the injuries. But like he's trying to add more people into the panel this year. Like Shane O'Brien, is kind of funny. His father was the S&C coach there for Clare. So he was very good for Limerick. Only a young fella, like I say, is he about under 19 still? Yeah, pretty sure it's still under 19 for Limerick. If that was an age group, like, but he's a big man still he looked tiny out there. 2 points. It's very impressive. And Micheál Houlihan, sorry, he wasn't even on the freeze because Brady went off injured. Very solid. Came on, took his place, scored, and did a very good interview, I thought, with RT after the match. But sure, then Kylie was on after him and he put him down to earth saying he'll have to back it up and go again. Like, there's no praising him or anything like that. And then, like, he probably would have been on it last year. He probably would have been on it last year if only it wasn't hamstring injury. I think he got a hamstring injury there after Kilmallock, the Munster final, when they went back train, and sort of kind of curtailed his season.
Yeah, no, he really impressed me when Kilmallock won the Limerick title there in the club championship last season. And then I think him going off against Ballygunner was a big reason as to why Ballygunner pulled away from Kilmallock so much. I thought he's similar as well to Gearóid Hegarty on the field, big giant of a fella who moves well for the size that he is and can hit scores from out on the wing. I mean, 12 points there today. You can't ignore that. So yeah, massive praise to him. On top of that, Kyle Hayes 3 points, Peter Casey 3 points, Shane O'Brien 2 points, Adam English 2 points as well. Like, a lot of new names in there, as if they didn't need more new players. For Clare on the flip side, Aidan McCarthy 13 points. Him being back fit, that's a massive boost to Clare. Even if they didn't get the win this day, having him back in the side is hugely important because he can play pretty much any position on the pitch.
Oh, yes, after his freak accident last year on the building side, it's great to have him back. But to be honest with you, Clare haven't been great since the Munster final last year. Like Wexford, they were, very lucky to get through that. And sure, they had a complete collapse against Kilkenny. And sure, I don't know, I wouldn't even count last week against Westmeath, to be honest with you, against a competitive team, like a proper Lee McCarthy team. Sure, the last 3 Lee McCarthy opponents they played, they haven't been impressive at all, to be honest with you. And like, it still adds then another stick to say Tony Kelly wasn't playing or John Conlon wasn't playing. Are they like a 1-2 man team? Like, do they need, or didn't show well for lads trying to put a hand up to play for subs? So say if Tony Kelly was injured, or like, I know Mark Rogers per se with the UL, that split season needs to fix that as well at the college. There's no point having college lads playing. He looked lethargic, to be honest with you. He shouldn't have been playing at all.
Yeah.
And even while I think of it there, it's Limerick's first win in the league since 2021, and they still haven't been relegated, which is, I don't know, kind of sparks integrity of a National League competition. So it's a bit of a farce. Like, sure, you're sending in Division 2 winners into a Shark Tank there into 1A. Like, it should be a bit more like the one couple of years ago, 1A, 1B, you kind of play. So say Westmeath came up this year, instead of going into like Cork, Galway, Limerick, Clare, you're going to at least play like Offaly or your Leashes and play 1 or 2 big teams. Like, it's a bit farcical if you ask me. Like,
yeah, well, that's the point. I mean, any competition to be intriguing needs to have an element if you don't really know what's going to happen. It's been 2 of Laois, Antrim and Westmeath that get relegated every single year. It's come from those 3. We know what's going to happen in the league. It's going to be them again. Like, that's what they're looking at. So yeah, but for this one, I think it's very important that Limerick get that victory. It's very important that they carry on building their squad, because eventually, look, they are the hunted and people are chasing them down, and there's all sorts of, rumours. Like, look what happened to Dublin. I know that's bringing a completely different, but what happened with Dublin is once we reached the top of the mountain, all of a sudden players were leaving the panel. The likes of Paul Mannion, the likes of Jack McCaffrey. Once we'd kind of reached the top, there was nothing left to do. Players did leave. And for Limerick, they need to add to their panel for if the hunger levels do drop in their star players. If there is nothing left to achieve for these guys, and they are guys that are 26, 27, they can go traveling with their friends, other things in life will come up. They need to have added the strength in the back of the panel, the likes of Micheál Houlihan, the likes of Adam English, that can step in and take their place and keep this team going, because that was one of the things that was so underestimated about the Dublin team, was Dublin's team in 2015 was completely different from the team that won the 5th All-Ireland and the 6th All-Ireland in 2019 and 2020. They were two completely different teams. Limerick need to keep that going, and you were absolutely right what you said about, look, their team in 2018 in that final against Galway is pretty similar to the team that they play now. Like, not a lot has changed in that side. Why would you change it? It has been so good. But I'm saying eventually players will move on, and they need to have that strength and depth in the panel to replace these lads.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, it's sure it's even in club level. You don't even have to go to inter-county for that. If you have no young fella coming up playing senior, sure, it's going to become stale. You need some bit of freshness to say, oh, this lad could take my place. I'm not saying that. Like, I know probably different contrasting from Dublin and Limerick is that the Dublin underage wasn't as dominant at the closing stages compared to now. Limerick, they've an under-21 final last year. Like, so you're surely saying there's a few come through that way. Like, even it's hard to know. Like, Declan Hand's not going to be there forever. They haven't even tried anyone centre back. I say, in God's know what when. And then like you've Galan. So we don't know, is he coming back or when he coming back? You need to find someone to replace him, especially with frees. Like, sure, he was the number one free taker in that retrospect. So it's hard to know. Like,
oh, without doubt. And I think, look, Cathal O'Neill is definitely the main one that I'd be looking at and saying if anyone's going to nail down a starting spot on a full strength Limerick team. I know he played last year, but that was mainly because of Keane Lynch's injury. Colin Coughlin, another one at wing back. I think he could be the man that takes Declan Hannon's place if he does go over the next couple of years. But I feel like Limerick are going to aim, genuinely, I believe Limerick are aiming for the 5 in a row. I believe that they're going to try and do what Kilkenny couldn't do. They're going to try and do what Cork couldn't do. They're going to try and get that 5th All-Ireland title in a row. And I really think they've as good a shot of doing it as anyone that I've seen in my lifetime, because they have such strength and depth, and the way that they've won these All-Irelands and looked so just invincible, to see how good Clare had to be to just draw with them, to see Kilkenny go to a final and hit 226 and still lose. Like, the level that you have to be at to beat this Limerick team is extraordinary. But yeah, they have started this league quite well. I thought they played well against Cork, and now they've picked up a victory in this game. Switching over then to Dublin versus Antrim at Parnell Park. 28 points for Dublin, 219 for Antrim. Dublin made this game a little bit trickier than it needed to be. 10 points up in the 63rd minute, and then Keelan Malloy inspires an Antrim fight back, and it ends up being quite close. 3-point victory for Dublin. But maybe Micheál Donoghue won't be the happiest with how we closed that game out.
Yeah, you could say that for the last 2 weeks, even, to be honest with you, Seamus, because I was at the game in Fraher Field there, and sure, the start they had was catastrophic. Sure, they didn't score from play, or didn't even score for 16 minutes like the last day, and sure, that's probably what cost them the match, winning the match the last day, and they'd be disappointed that they didn't win. Sure, you 13 against 15 for that 15, 16 minutes, close it off. Like 9 times out of 10, you should be winning that. And I suppose it was kind of contrasting this week. Sure, they had a perfect start. Was it 7 points or up? 7 points, I'm pretty sure. No score or something like that. And then, sure, they were. I find out they take too many long distance shots. Like 9 times, like, you're not going to score every day with a long shot. Like, especially with if you're playing against a gale force wind or trying your luck even further out with the wind. Like, I say I lost count with how many long shots they tried to do the last 2 days. Because like when they played the ball like last day against Waterford, the goals they got, sure, they're never going to get them again. But it was pure kind of luck. Kind of Conor Prunty brick flicked it out, it went wrong, and then Conor Gleeson slipped, and then it was Keane Bolan caught the ball in between Jack Fagan and Prunty for the penalty. Then, but like, you're not going to get that in the height of championship, to be honest with you. And then on an Antrim perspective, they were impressive, more impressive than they were the last day against Kilkenny. But as I said before, like, they treat this as their championship. It's what they were treating as their championship when they were in Joe McDonough and all that. But I say the factor in Lee McCarthy now, I say their main priority is stay up. It's between them and Westmeath, like.
Yeah, no, without doubt, I feel like Antrim probably have definitely put it up to the teams a little bit more than Westmeath have. And I think, look, the battles between Dublin and Antrim have been close, especially when we had to go up to Corrigan Park. That was a very, very difficult place to get the victory from. Look, for Dublin, like it's 2 games in, a draw and a victory. I think it's a good start for Micheál Donoghue. He's won the game that he should have won. And if you had said to me at the start, you're going to get a draw in Field, I would have taken that 100%. But I agree with you that putting it into perspective that we had 2 extra men on the field going into the last few minutes and, we're drawing, we should be winning the game from there. And I feel like, the top teams, the Limericks, the Clares, the Waterfords, if that was the other way around and Dublin had 2 men down, Waterford would have finished us off. And I feel like Dublin need to become a little bit more ruthless than that. And I feel like when we are 10 points ahead with 7 minutes of normal time left to play, we need to be putting our foot on the accelerator and not on the brake. And I think that's what Dublin needs to do going forward. But look, a good start to the Micheál Donoghue era. Looking forward to seeing what is next. We'll switch over to your own. Waterford going away to O'Moore Park in Portlaoise, winning by 231 to 219. What did you make of their performance in this one?
Sure. Look, well, from what I saw with the Michael Kiley thing, it's hard to know what he did. Because from knowing him, I don't see him. He's not the
straight in with that.
Anyway. Yeah, but it's hard to know. Like it didn't look like anything he did serious anyway. But sure, they got to put Paddy Purcell as a sweeper. Then, like, he was just mopping up, like he kind of mopping up possession, made him look very good. And then they got to put Murray Mullally up into half-forward line. He did crazy damage for 2-2. But Waterford wouldn't be too disappointed. Sure, Padraig Fitzgerald, Curiosity, sure, Jesus, Curiosity, I don't know if you know it, is not a stronghold for hurling. Like, the 15 county football titles. They only were junior B there about 2016. And they got to a county final there, a Western final, sorry, in junior A this year. But, like, it beat the two, Padraig, his twin brother Seamus and his older brother Donal be the main fellas on that. Like, but, geez, from knowing them in school, they always had hurlies with them, the two twins. So it's not surprised one of them's on the county team anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. And then the 2 goals, obviously, that Waterford did get. What did you make of them?
Well, sure. Any other day, Montgomery's goal could have been blown for steps. And maybe Enderone could have stopped it. Looking at it, it probably should have stopped it. And sort of like Desi, the ball from Gleeson to Desi. Sure, well, you know what Roland was trying to do? It's kind of near trying to do a sweeper keeper thing with Armagh. That's what he was attempting. He was build a 1-2 with a puck out, and he's gone out the other wing, and he dropped, kind of fumbled it. But yeah, look, Dave, I said this game was the man behind the wire more than anything. But he's comment saying it's Davies. I don't know if we saw it, but it was in the Examiner that he was saying that it's more for giving communication to the corner back, not for puck out. That you can't just say if Conor Gleeson's on not the sideline side, that to give communication to him. But sure, it's not going to work in Croke Park, like, or Championship.
Oh yeah, with the noise in the stadium and everything, like, you wouldn't be able to hear yourself think when there's 82,000 people screaming as you're taking a puck out. So, but look, this game was definitely one that Waterford should win. If they have any aspirations of winning an All-Ireland, they definitely should win this game and win it handily, in my opinion. And they've done that. They won the game. Michael Kiley was sent off. Definitely not an ideal, pretty early in the game as well, considering, the full 70 minutes. And yet to get the victory, they'll take that. Davy Fitz's era, second era, obviously, with Waterford after the first one in the late 2000s. How are you feeling as a Waterford man seeing this now, 2 games in?
It hasn't been, you wouldn't be impressed so far. Like, from being at the game last weekend, there was periods, well, for the first 15 minutes, let's say Michael Kiley, all the 6 forwards were kind of from the 45 to the 21, very compact. But then for the rest of the game, it was Michael Kiley and the rest were out the field. Like, there was no forward inside the 45. I don't know how that's going to work. Like, you can't. Michael Kiley's a big fella, but he's not going to do that much damage on 1 against 2 or 3. Like, and I still have Desi as close as possible to the goal as you can. Like, he was playing wing forward there more or less yesterday, and then Padraig was kind of floating around the place. And sure, like, Jamie Barnes probably not going to be wing forward for the height of him, to be honest with you. Like, he's 5'9", 5'10". Nowadays, you're going to need a fella 6'2", 3. Well, like, even his brother Tom was centre forward, but Tom, he was good the other day on wing, but I think he's played centre back for us for a mile for the last 4 or 5 years. I think he's a better back than he's a forward. And it's hard to know. Like, even I say the more confusing thing nearly is between the two Fitzgeralds. Now it'd be the new thing, Padraig and Patrick. Patrick was very good when he came on there the other day. Got two points. He could easily pass it for the goal. He just put it over the bar, like, for a young fella. I say it's hard to know. Will he probably play under 20s this year, but he's in and out with the under 20s and the senior. So is Mark Fitzgerald, who was wing back. He's in and out with the under 20s. So I say David's trying to blood him in at the same time. But even going back to your question, it's hard to know. I say for sure Waterford haven't even got out of the group Munster since the Munster League have been intact. I say if he got out of Munster, he'd be doing well. And I say it's nearly better that they're playing in Semple than Walsh Park, because Semple is wide and packed, and with the run game that he's trying to play, it would suit him down to the ground, I feel, anyway. So I think it could be a straight shootout between Tip and Waterford to get out. If you put a gun to my head or something like that, it'd be hard to call. I say it'd be whoever has the most fit and firing players on the day.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely the unknowns there that will definitely play a factor in terms of who gets injured, because I do think home advantage is definitely, in terms of the Munster Championship, in my opinion, isn't as applicable as it is to other GAA competitions. I mean, the amount of games that these teams play at each other's venues, like how many times would Tip have played in Porky Queeve? How many times have Limerick played in Cusack Park? Like, it's not really that type of thing of, a pitch that you've never really played on. Like, they've all played on, especially Semple Stadium. Like, they've all played there. They all love playing there. So for Waterford, you're right, it definitely could work, especially with the game that Davy is trying to implement, but only time will tell. Westmeath, 1 goal and 15 points. Wexford, 2 goals and 23 points. Cusack Park in Mullingar played host to this one. This was a game last year that Wexford should have won in the Leinster Championship, and they completely dropped the ball with it, and they were caught by Westmeath for a draw, and it shocked people. But this time they right the wrongs. They knew that they had to do this, and they came and they won by 223 to a goal and 15 points. And the one thing that I'm going to lead off this debate with is, obviously last week against Galway, one of the key issues with this Wexford side that was pointed out was the amount of wides that they were hitting. They're shooting, and especially from frees compared to the other top teams. Ross Banville came in, stuck away a goal in the 51st minute, but also looked pretty promising on the frees. And he's been, a future star in this Wexford side. Could he be the answer to this free taking situation that Wexford have, or should they back someone like a Leachin or a Conor MacDonald?
I say it's time to give Banville a chance this stage, because sure, Chin has had many opportunities. He's a hit and miss on him, and nowadays you need 95 to 100% free taking in inter-county. Name all the top teams, they've bang free takers over the bar. Like, Wexford is probably one of the Wexford and Clare are probably the two top tier counties at the moment that wouldn't have the best free takers. But even the shooting the other day, I only saw the highlights now on RTE, but like the shooting from the Galway game, Jesus, it pulled your hair out from Wexford. Like, it was just shooting from crazy angles and trying to shoot over the shoulder. And even with the free, sure, it was like, McDonald took a free, missed one. D. O'Keefe took a 65, and it didn't even hit it high, kind of just skimmed in, kind of head height, a mile wide. And then it went back to McDonald again. He missed another one, then went back to D. O'Keefe again. Like, sure, it's hard to know. Like, Lee Chin's usually on him, but sure, with his injury proneness the last few years, you need to probably pick someone else to be on the freeze that you can trust, not just be chopping and changing during a match, because that does not give anyone confidence.
Yeah, agreed. I think it doesn't even give the free taker confidence. You have to back your free taker, unless it's going terrible for him on the day, unless he's missed 3 or 4 in a row. But you have to back your free taker that, look, if you miss this one, we're still going to let you take the next one. Like, that type of confidence in them, especially chopping and changing after McDonald misses one and putting D. O'Keefe on the next one. McDonald's not going to be that confident when you give him the next shot after D. O'Keefe misses. If anything, he feels more pressure to get it right. And free taking is an art form. And when you look at the likes of Jason Ford, Evan Nyland as well is deadly accurate. When you look at these guys do it, TJ Reid as well doesn't miss, Aaron Gallan as well for Limerick. They make it look so easy, and they're so relaxed when they're taking their frees. Whereas Wexford now, it's becoming a thing very, very quickly that Wexford don't have a free taker. And for Banville, I think it's crucial that he gets it right and Wexford get it right and back him and put trust in him and say, look, you're our man who's going to take the frees. We're going to back you. Even if you miss the first 3, we're still going to keep you on them. Don't worry about it. And I think he could be the man to do it. I really, really do. They got this victory against Westmeath. Westmeath were only down by a point at half time. So there's obviously signs there of progress being made by Fortune's men. What did you think of their performance? Because obviously, as we said, it's going to come down to a battle really for Westmeath in terms, against the likes of Antrim and Laois to see if they can stay in Division 1 for another season. How do you rate their chances? 2 games in, 2 defeats. This game, they were better than the last game, though.
They were better. Like, Wexford had goal chances going off the match reports that they didn't take, and they had wides again today. Like, I think they had 10 or 11 wides going on, something like that. So it could have been a ridiculous scoreline in favour of Wexford. For sure, Westmeath are missing Niall Mitchell, Angus Clark, Cormac Boyle, and they don't know about veteran Derek McNicholas. Is he on the panel, or I think he's taken a year out? Is he retired? No one knows. But you need everyone in counties like Westmeath, or they've only, is it 5 or 6 senior teams? Like, you need all firing on guns, blazing, playing everyone you can, playing. Like, you can afford in Limerick, if you have one fella, or the top counties, you can replace him with another fella playing senior, but you need everyone in committed fully to do anything if they want to succeed. I don't know, it's probably a flip of a coin. They're definitely going to go down, I say, to 2A again. That wouldn't surprise me, but it would be a straight shoot, as I say, between them and Antrim. They go stay up in Lee McCarthy then.
Yeah, no, and then definitely turn their attention to the championship, where they can hope they can pull off a shock like they did last year, taking a scalp off Wexford like they did. That is the hurling roundup, guys, here on Play on GAA, round 2 of the Alliance Hurling League. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. And until next one, take care.